we can officially say that the original Golden State Warriors are back. But one of the main differences with the Golden State Warriors now is that the amount of depth that they had on their roster compared to their other championship runs. When you look at this team now, they're very deep with many great players on their roster. Taking a look back at those older teams, they had guys like, of course, Sean Livingston, Andre Iguodala when he was really, really good still. They had many guys that were really talented players, but looking at this Warriors team now, they're younger. They have a lot more depth. They have great shooters like Otto Porter Jr., and they have great role players, especially Jordan Poole, who's definitely is and should be in the consideration for winning Most Improved Player this year. And there's many bright spots to this Golden State Warriors team overall this season. One of their blueprints for success, and that's always been really prominent for them, is their defense. And once again, they're the best defensive team in the entire NBA this season. And that's really because of the improvement on defense, especially from Steph Curry, really. Steph Curry this season has even been locked in on the defensive end of the basketball court. His numbers on that end of the court are a lot better compared to seasons prior in his NBA career. And we all know that the glue piece of the Golden State Warriors in their defense is Draymond Green. And Draymond Green has definitely showed that this season for this Warriors team. Just the other night when they played against the Brooklyn Nets, and I believe they beat them by 18 points, he held Kevin Durant to shooting just 32% from the field, which is very, very impressive. Not only that, but this Warriors team this season overall on the offensive end of the basketball court is another great reason why they're so successful. They're one of the top 5 ranked offensive teams this season in the NBA as well. And of course, that has to do a lot with Steph Curry. And when you look at Steph Curry's numbers this season, they're really not as high as normal seasons for him. He's normally averaging around 30 points a game, literally. But this season, he's averaging just 28.7 points per game, 6.6 assists. He has a PER of 28.61. That's very impressive overall looking at his numbers. And his field goal percentage isn't really as high as normal seasons are. His 3-point percentage is just 40.6%. And he is shooting overall 45.4% from the field. Looking at his numbers, they have kind of dropped and his efficiency has kind of dropped. But in a way, it's really because he has a lot more help this season on this Warriors team, as I said earlier, with the amount of depth that they have on this team. Jordan Poole legitimately looks like a guy, especially when Klay Thompson comes back, he can possibly be a 6-man, or you can still have him really in the starting lineup at times. But that's another guy who hasn't come back, and James Wiseman as well, who hasn't really come back yet. But when those two guys come back from their injuries, things are definitely going to be a lot different for this Warriors team. James Wiseman adds that paint presence that this team needs overall, and he adds great rebounding, rim protection, many great things that a center obviously provides for a team. And looking at Klay Thompson, we all know how good of a player he is. He did suffer 2 catastrophic injuries, but because of that, he may not be the same player on the defensive end of the basketball court, but this season with the amount of help that they have overall, he's still going to be able to have a pretty good role on that end of the basketball court as well. He may not be asked to guard the toughest assignments every night, but he can still go out and play, hopefully, really good defense. And of course, you have the rookies like Moses Moody, who hasn't really been doing much. And Jonathan Kuminga has been a very good interior presence for this team. And he's also been able to make great plays overall for his teammates. But I'm definitely looking forward to development of his game and how far he can grow as a player, especially on this Warriors team, because his skill set, he's going to have to work on obviously becoming a great defender. And they've done that with all their guys on this team. And I can't see why Jonathan Kuminga, they can't grow him and develop him into a really, really great defender for this Warriors team. I really love the new direction that this Warriors team is going. They chose to obviously go more in depth with their roster, and that makes a lot more sense because, really looking at it now, your 2 guys who are really your key pieces right now, of course, is Draymond Green and Steph Curry. But of course, when Klay comes back, and hopefully he's still that same guy, of course, they will have their big 3 of the Warriors originally. But this team, they've been through a lot, of course. Seasons prior, they haven't really been playing to the expectation. Well, not even expectation, but they haven't really been, playing to their full potential because of, them suffering injuries and, just overall like a burnout in a way that they've gone through because of the continuous runs, deep runs into the playoffs and going to the NBA Finals, and them overall being successful. But looking at this season as well, though, for Steph Curry, as I said earlier, He looks like a guy who right now who's definitely going to an MVP. And you can even consider Draymond Green in the run for Defensive Player of the Year, and Steve Curry this season for winning Coach of the Year. He's really been coaching really hard, if you noticed, and he's trying to, just get the best out of his guys on his team. And looking at this Warriors team so far, they're the number one team right now in the Western Conference. They are coming off of really good games. They're beating teams by really big margins overall. And when you look at the direction that they're going and how things can come along this season, they look like a team that will definitely be in the run for 9 times out of 10, I will say right now, at this moment, winning the NBA championship. There's no team in basketball right now that is playing better than the Golden State Warriors. There are teams that are really good out there, of course, but this team right here, they are just different right now. And then no team, not the Lakers, not the Clippers, no, not the Brooklyn Nets, not any of these teams right now have nothing right now compared to what the Golden State Warriors have. And you can take into account as well that they already have that developed chemistry on this roster, which has helped them really just blossom this season as well. They have kind of changed their championship style of play now by adding a more fast pace to their offense. They have a lot more shooters now on this team as well. And as I said earlier, with the depth and the young core that this team has, this Warriors team is definitely a lot more revamped compared to seasons prior. And looking at the direction that they're going this season, they're right now on the pace to win possibly 70 games at this rate right now, which is very, very impressive. But of course, there's still a very long season ahead of us, and there's still many things that can happen throughout this NBA season. Teams are still adjusting, and players are still just growing that chemistry with one another. But I hope you guys enjoyed this brief video today. Let's see the Warriors go out and really do something this season and go out and win possibly another NBA championship.